one of the problems with fruits and vegetables is a lot of people do not like the taste or the texture. And it really comes down to there are a multitude of ways you can cook vegetables. Grilling your fruits and vegetables can be a great way to just add a different flavor profile. Of course, roasting them in the oven, steaming, sautéing. The one thing that we do want to be cautious of is we don't want to cook our fruits and vegetables for long periods of time. The longer they're exposed to heat, the more that those nutritional benefits, like our vitamins and minerals, can be lost. So making sure that we are incorporating a variety. If you don't like raw broccoli, maybe try roasting it, or, the seasonings make great additions to food. So there's a lot of no salt seasonings, your fresh herbs, your dried herbs. All of those can really change the flavor profile of foods to make it more enjoyable for us.
Some studies have shown that eating 9 servings of fruits and vegetables a day could reduce a person's risk for cardiovascular disease by as much as 60%. An eating style that is becoming more popular, the Mediterranean diet, focuses on a holistic approach to incorporating healthy protein and healthy fats. It's also about eating more fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, incorporating nuts and seeds, and eliminating added sugars. On today's Sound Living, benefits of heart-healthy foods. Sound Living is a weekly public affairs program produced by Research and Extension at Kansas State University. I'm Jeff Wichman. K-State Research and Extension Nutrition, Food Safety, and Health Agent for Johnson County, Chelsea Reinberg, says all of the recommendations of the Mediterranean diet will help us eat a healthier diet, whether or not we're purposefully following the Mediterranean style. Chelsea, first off, when we talk about the Mediterranean diet, it's really an eating style, and one of the things that we run into is sometimes there is confusion about just really what this diet is.
Yeah, so the Mediterranean diet, we use the word diet loosely, but it's really not about limiting or getting rid of any specific foods in your diet. It's really more about just kind of an overall lifestyle. And typically when you hear Mediterranean food, you think of kind of the region, where eating the Mediterranean way is really focused on kind of a holistic approach to incorporating healthy proteins, healthy fats, definitely eating more fruits and vegetables and whole grains, and then incorporating your nuts and seeds, and of course, reducing or limiting your added sugars.
I guess the good thing is really all of those foods are available where we live, so it's something that we can adapt to.
Yes, definitely. And, as we get into the nice warmer months also with the farmers markets popping up and all that stuff, having fresh, affordable produce is really key and really helps making eating the Mediterranean way more affordable for individuals.
And when we're talking about in terms of fruits, is there anything in particular that we're looking at?
No, and so really the Mediterranean diet is focused primarily on our fruits and vegetables. There were some studies that had shown that eating 9 fruits and vegetables a day could significantly reduce your risk of cardiovascular disease by almost 60%. So they have a lot of high fiber. The antioxidants are really important for heart health and just overall health in general. So when we're talking about the most bang for our bucks in terms of heart health, really making sure those fruits and vegetables are up there. And then, of course, choosing our more heart-healthy fats. So our avocado oil, our olive oils are definitely going to be more friendly to our heart than our saturated fats like our butter and lard and things like that.
And the olive oil, is that something that sometimes I see that and I think, gosh, is that worth the extra cost? Is it something that I really need? But it really is part of this eating system.
Yes. Olive oil can be pricey. Like any kind of food you'll find on the shelf, there's varying price points. So they have made it pretty affordable to find different olive oils these days that are definitely more affordable. You, of course, can get the higher end ones, which are going to have a higher price point. But all the olive oils, and you'll see different colors, and you'll have the light version, you'll have a more robust version. And a lot of that comes down to just the degree of processing and kind of how much they're pressing those olives to get all of that oil out.
Is there any difference in how we use it in the cooking process?
Not really. So olive oil is great. It actually can withstand heat pretty well. So it's a great addition to saute your vegetables in. It makes for a great homemade dressing and tossing it on your salads. You can definitely even use a little brush of oil on toast instead of butter. So there's a lot of multi-purposes that olive oil is great for.
You brought up something that I was thinking about. You talked about the sautéing the vegetables, and when we're looking at incorporating more fruits and vegetables, we probably need to do this in a different way as opposed to just steaming or eating everything raw.
Yeah, some people, one of the problems with fruits and vegetables is a lot of people do not like the taste or the texture. And it really comes down to there are a multitude of ways you can cook vegetables as we get into the warmer months. Grilling your fruits and vegetables can be a great way to just add a different flavor profile. Of course, roasting them in the oven, steaming, sautéing. The one thing that we do want to be cautious of is we don't want to cook our fruits and vegetables for long periods of time. The longer they're exposed to heat, the more that those nutritional benefits like our vitamins and minerals can be lost. So making sure that we're not overcooking our fruits and vegetables. They tend to get more soggy at that time as well, and people tend to like the texture less. So making sure that we are incorporating a variety. If you don't like raw broccoli, maybe try roasting it, or the seasonings make great additions to food. So there's a lot of no salt seasonings, your fresh herbs, your dried herbs. All of those can really change the flavor profile of foods to make it more enjoyable for us.
And a lot of that is just kind of trial and error as we start off in this process, just really finding out the things that we really do like and enjoy.
Yeah, I always tell people, if you don't like something the first time you try it, don't write it off completely. Give it another try, cook it a different way. They say that kids take about 15 different exposures of food before they like it. I feel like sometimes adults can be the same. It takes us multiple exposures in different ways to really enjoy a food.
Talk a little bit about maybe getting children involved with this, because I think sometimes we shy away from, especially the vegetables, because kids typically don't tend to like vegetables. So if I'm hearing you right, we just need to keep at it and keep introducing those.
Yeah, definitely introducing them to kids. Also, we as adults make great role models for children. They tend to see what we do. So if we are not enjoying our fruits and vegetables, or if we kind of talk negatively about a fruit or vegetable, then kids also hear and see that. Also getting kids involved in the selection of the produce. When you go to a farmer's market or the grocery store, kind of ask them what they want to eat and then involving them in the kitchen. That's a great way to give them kind of ownership, and kids that are helping in the kitchen have been shown to eat more and try more fruits and vegetables. And then also family time. So sitting down and eating together as a family can get kids to try and be more adventurous with foods. And then also that kind of goes back to that mindfulness of eating, and being very mindful when we eat can help us also just have a better relationship with food, and then all in turn affects our heart health. If we're eating better food, eating slower, enjoying our food, kind of having that mindfulness, it all comes back down to also just helping our heart health.
I know a lot of families are also starting to do some small gardens at home, another way to get kids involved.
Yes, definitely. Kids love to play in the dirt, so having them help, even as simple as pulling weeds or just playing while you're out there, is a great opportunity for them.
In addition to the olive oil, the fruits and vegetables, we're also looking at breads, other cereals, maybe some legumes as well.
Yeah, so incorporating your whole grains is definitely a priority in terms of heart health and eating the Mediterranean way. So our brown rice and our whole wheat flours are all going to be a little bit more beneficial for us than our white refined carbohydrates. And then, as you mentioned, our beans and legumes are really important. They are very high in fiber. They're also a great protein source. So when we think about our Mediterranean way, we want to reduce the amount of red meats, especially our really high fatty red meats that we're consuming, and incorporate some of those more plant-based proteins. And then also incorporating fish. We, as most Americans, tend to not eat as much fish, especially here being in a landlocked state. So incorporating fish into our diet is also very important. And that can be fresh fish, it can be frozen fish, and even canned fish are great options. Your canned tuna. I personally love to incorporate canned salmon, making like homemade salmon patties. Fresh salmon can be quite expensive, especially if it's not on sale. And so canned salmon can be a great alternative. We do want to make sure we're eating those fatty fishes like our salmon and mackerel at least one time a week. So using canned as a substitute to fresh is great. We want to just make sure that when we are buying canned fish or any canned meat or vegetable product, that we are finding those that have either no or low sodium added, and that they're canned in water versus oil.
I also noticed that chicken and turkey were on the list, and I'm thinking, gosh, I only think of turkey at Thanksgiving, but it's really something that we can incorporate year-round.
Yeah, so chicken, as we know, is a very lean white meat, and same with turkey. Turkey is obviously very prominent during the holiday season, but you can find fresh turkey breast in the meat department and even some frozen turkey breast throughout the year as well. And then, of course, there's canned chicken as another alternative to having some protein into your diet.
And we also need to think of this as not maybe the giant-sized portions that we would be served in a restaurant, but something a little bit more moderate.
Correct. Most of the portions that are served in restaurants are definitely more than what is recommended for a single time, and even sometimes your calorie limits for the day. So what we like to use is you can use your hand as a good judge for an appropriate portion size. So, for example, if you have your hand extended out flat, the palm of your hand is about 3-ounce serving, or if you're talking about a piece of fish, the size of your whole hand extended is kind of a great visual representation. But usually about a 3-ounce serving is considered a good portion size for meat, and then anywhere from a half a cup to a cup of a fruit or vegetable, and then about a half a cup of grains.
Nuts and seeds are also on the list, but again, we need to be careful with what type of nuts and seeds.
Yeah, so nuts and seeds are a great option. A lot of them have our heart-healthy fats that are good for us, the unsaturated fats. So your walnuts, pecans, almonds, pistachios, all of them are going to be good options. When you are choosing nuts, you can either buy them whole, unroasted, or you can buy them roasted and salted. Of course, we encourage people to buy them unsalted because, again, the excess sodium, we already have a lot of things in our diet that have salt added to them. You can purchase bulk nuts and then roast them yourself. You can just toss them in a pan on top of the stove or put them in the oven and roast them for a few minutes. The nice thing about roasting them, it kind of brings out this natural flavor, which just adds a little bit more robustness. So toasting them is a great way to, again, change the flavor profile of something that you maybe wouldn't normally like to consume.
What about on the dairy side? What are some things that we should consider and maybe not consider?
Yeah, so with dairy, we want to make sure that we're choosing, again, good nutritious products, so choosing those more low-fat options. A non-fat Greek yogurt is a great option for incorporating dairy into our diet. With the Mediterranean way, they do limit dairy to a certain extent. They're not saying to have 3 cups of milk a day, which is kind of what our current food pyramid recommends. But again, they are encouraging you to have more healthy, nutritious, like your yogurts and things like that are going to provide some protein and lots of good calories, and not just kind of our empty nutrition calories as we think of with dairy, like ice cream or full-fat sour creams and things like that.
And I guess overall, we're really trying to either avoid or reduce the amount of processed foods that we're eating?
Yeah, so a lot of processed foods are going to have those added fats, sugars, and sodium, which have been shown to increase our risk for heart disease. Typically, when we think of keeping a healthy heart, we think of our blood pressure and sodium, but studies have shown that an increased diet of added sugars can also contribute to your risk of heart disease. So making sure that we're not only focusing on our fats and our sodium, but also our added sugar. And definitely a lot of the companies that produce these foods add them in. They're a preservative, but typically what is added into our food is a little bit more than what we need.
And not really on the nutrition side, but on the healthy side of the Mediterranean diet is increasing our physical activity and being involved with others and socializing.
Yes. Sometimes no matter how healthy we eat, if we are sitting for significant periods of the day and not being physically active, that can also have a negative effect on our health and reduce the number of years that we potentially may live. So incorporating physical activity in whatever way you enjoy, so whether it's going for a walk or just being active in a garden, the benefit of being physically active, it can also be a socialization tool. So finding a friend or a relative to go on a walk with, when you're talking on the phone with somebody, even just standing up and kind of moving around while you're talking are great ways to get the body moving and to stay socialized with others.
That's Chelsea Reinberg, K-State Research and Extension Nutrition, Food Safety, and Health Agent for Johnson County. To learn more about the Mediterranean diet, contact your local Extension office. Sound Living is a weekly public affairs program produced by Research and Extension at Kansas State University. I'm Jeff Wichman, and this is the K-State Radio Network.